Ladies and gentlemen, today's video is nothing short of explosive. If you're a Dallas Cowboys fan or just an NFL enthusiast, buckle up because the news we're breaking is sending shockwaves across the entire league. The Dallas Cowboys have made a jaw-dropping, headline-making decision. They have cut a star player from their roster. Yes, you heard that right. One of the biggest names, one of the most impactful contributors, has just been released from the team, and this move was spearheaded by none other than Stephen Jones, the Cowboys' executive vice president and de facto decision-maker in the front office. This decision has left fans stunned, analysts scrambling, and the NFL world buzzing with questions. Why would the Cowboys cut a star player? What led Stephen Jones to make such a drastic move? And what does this mean for the Cowboys' future and for the league at large? In this video, I'm going to break down everything we know, all the speculation, the potential motivations behind this move, and the broader implications of such a bold roster shake-up. Trust me, you're not going to want to miss this. To start off, the timing of this cut is what makes it so sensational. Typically, NFL teams wait for certain windows, like the offseason or specific roster deadlines, to make significant roster changes. But this move happened suddenly, without much public warning, and that caught everyone off guard. It's the kind of news that makes fans refresh Twitter and sports news feeds non-stop, hoping for confirmation, reaction, or even an explanation. The fact that it was a star player, someone who has been a key contributor to the team's success or at least a central figure in their lineup, makes it even more astonishing. Cutting a player of that caliber is never an easy decision. These are the players who are the face of the franchise, who fans cheer for, and who opponents respect. So, to see one of them suddenly released signals a deep and strategic shift happening behind the scenes. Now, let's talk about Stephen Jones and his role in all of this. Stephen Jones is no stranger to making tough calls. As the son of Jerry Jones and a key figure in the Cowboys' front office, he has often been the voice of pragmatism and business savvy when it comes to roster construction. Over the years, the Cowboys have built their reputation not just on star power but also on shrewd contract management, salary cap navigation, and an aggressive approach to player acquisitions and releases. Stephen has always been outspoken about the need to be selectively aggressive when it comes to free agency and roster moves, meaning the team isn't afraid to cut loose players who don't fit into their long-term plans, regardless of their past achievements or fan popularity. This philosophy has served the team well at times, but it also brings risks, especially when it means releasing a star player who many assumed was untouchable. From what insiders and analysts are saying, this decision was likely driven by a combination of financial considerations, performance evaluations, and a broader strategy to reshape the team's roster. The Cowboys have had to juggle a difficult salary cap situation for some time. With big contracts on key players like Dak Prescott, Micah Parsons, and CeeDee Lamb, the front office has limited flexibility to extend or bring in new talent without shedding salary elsewhere. Cutting a high-paid star player who might be underperforming or whose contract no longer aligns with the team's financial strategy is a way to create cap space and open up opportunities for future moves. It's not just about saving money but about building a sustainable roster that can compete for years to come. That said, this move also sends a clear message to the locker room and to the league: no player is guaranteed a spot, no matter how much star power or history they bring to the table. The Cowboys are committed to a culture of accountability, and that culture starts at the top. This move, however, isn't just about numbers and contracts. There's always a human element in football, and that's especially true with star players who have been with a team for years. Performance and injuries also come into play. If this player had been struggling with injuries or hadn't been living up to expectations recently, the Cowboys may have seen the cut as a necessary, albeit painful, step to protect the team's competitive edge. We've seen it happen before across the NFL. When a player's production drops or their fit in a new coaching scheme diminishes, the team has to make tough calls. In Dallas's case, it's possible this decision was also influenced by a desire to shift the team's identity or philosophy. Perhaps Stephen Jones and the coaching staff want to pivot towards younger, faster, or differently skilled players, signaling a rebuild or a retool rather than a simple roster adjustment. The fan reaction to this announcement has been nothing short of explosive. Across social media platforms like Twitter, Instagram, and Reddit, the Cowboys fanbase is divided. There are those who praise the front office for making a bold, necessary move to get Dallas back on track, applauding the willingness to make hard decisions without sentimentality. These fans see this as a statement of intent, a clear signal that the Cowboys are serious about winning and won't hesitate to do what it takes. On the other hand, there's a significant portion of the fanbase that is heartbroken and angry. For many, star players represent not only talent but also identity and loyalty. Cutting such a player can feel like a betrayal, especially if fans feel the team didn't give them a fair chance or if the timing feels abrupt and disrespectful. This divide is natural, and it often plays out in passionate debates online, sports radio shows, and fan forums. Media reaction has been equally intense. Sports analysts and commentators are scrambling to interpret the move, asking whether this signals a new direction for the Cowboys or if it's an overreaction that could backfire. Some experts argue that the cut is a brilliant example of front office decisiveness and cap management, while others caution that the Cowboys might be losing valuable veteran leadership and talent that could be hard to replace. The media also loves a good mystery, and until the Cowboys officially announce the player's identity and the full context behind the decision, speculation will continue to run wild. Meanwhile, rival teams around the league are watching closely, taking notes on how Dallas handles this roster shakeup. It's a reminder that in the NFL, every big move sends a message not just to your own team but to the entire competition. Let's speculate a bit on the possible reasons behind this cut. Beyond the salary cap pressures and performance issues, locker room dynamics might have played a role. Teams, especially ones as high profile as the Cowboys, are constantly managing personalities, egos, and leadership groups. If there was tension between this star player and the coaching staff or teammates, or if the player was seen as not fully buying into the new culture the team is trying to build, that could have accelerated the decision. It's an aspect of NFL roster management that often stays behind the scenes but can be just as important as on-field production. A player's influence in the locker room, their commitment to team values, and their ability to lead or follow can all impact a front office's calculus when deciding who stays and who goes. Another factor worth considering is the strategic direction the Cowboys might be heading toward. Cutting a high-profile player could be part of a larger roster reset aimed at building around younger talent or different types of players. The Cowboys have had an impressive draft pipeline and emerging stars, and perhaps Stephen Jones wants to free up resources and roster spots to accelerate the development of these players. While that kind of transition can be uncomfortable for fans who want to see immediate results, it's sometimes necessary for long-term success. Roster turnover and rebuilding cycles are part of the NFL's brutal business nature, and the teams that handle them best tend to find sustained success. Who might the cut player be? While the Cowboys have not officially revealed the identity, fans and insiders have already begun speculating. Given salary and positional considerations, the most likely candidates are players in high-value positions like cornerback, linebacker, or pass rusher. These are positions where big contracts and performance expectations often collide, especially if injuries or inconsistencies have plagued the player. It's possible the cut player is someone who had a sizable contract but wasn't meeting expectations in terms of performance or availability. While it's all conjecture at this point, the sheer shock of the move suggests it's someone with significant star power, not a role player or fringe roster spot. Now, what does this mean for the Cowboys going forward? In the immediate term, the team gains salary cap relief and roster flexibility. That could enable them to pursue free agents, make trades, or extend contracts of rising stars. However, it also means the team will need to adjust its depth chart quickly, and the backup or younger players stepping into the star's role will be under pressure to perform. From a cultural standpoint, this move is a clear signal to everyone in the organization that no player is above the team's business and competitive priorities. That message can foster accountability and a strong work ethic but can also risk alienating players who feel insecure or undervalued. In the long term, this could be a pivotal moment in the Cowboys' franchise history. If the team capitalizes on the cap space and roster flexibility to bring in new talent and compete at a high level, this cut will be viewed as a bold, visionary move that helped reset the franchise's trajectory. On the other hand, if the team struggles to replace the star's production or suffers from leadership voids, critics will point to this decision as a misstep with lasting consequences. For Stephen Jones, whose reputation is intertwined with the Cowboys' front office decisions, this move will either cement his legacy as a decisive architect or haunt him as a risky gamble. Looking back at similar situations in NFL history, cutting a star player mid-season or unexpectedly is never without controversy. Many teams have had to make painful cuts for cap reasons or because a player's performance declined, from linebackers to quarterbacks. Some of those moves were initially criticized but later praised as part of smart roster management, while others became cautionary tales. The Cowboys' decision fits squarely into that tradition of high-stakes roster management that defines the NFL's business side. As fans and analysts, what should we watch for next? First, official confirmation and full transparency from the Cowboys about the cut player and the rationale behind the move. Second, the player's response: will they seek to sign with another team immediately, or is there a chance for renegotiation or a comeback? Third, how will the Cowboys fill the gap? Will they look to free agency, trades, or the draft? And finally, how will this affect the team's performance and chemistry in the coming weeks and seasons? To wrap it all up, this star player cut by the Dallas Cowboys, driven by Stephen Jones' strategic, business-focused approach, is a seismic event that will reverberate through the NFL landscape. It underscores the brutal realities of professional football, where talent and loyalty sometimes take a back seat to cap management, culture, and long-term vision. Whether this move pays off or backfires will be a major storyline to follow, and it certainly has reignited the passionate debate about what it takes to build a championship-caliber NFL team. I want to hear your thoughts on this breaking news. Who do you think the star player is? Was this a smart, necessary move by Stephen Jones or a reckless gamble? How do you think the Cowboys will respond on the field? Drop your comments below. I'm reading every one of them and can't wait to engage with the community on this hot topic. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into one of the biggest NFL stories right now, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you're new here, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss any updates. The Cowboys are always making headlines, and you know I'll be here to bring you all the latest analysis and reaction. Thanks for watching. Until next time, keep loving football and stay tuned for more breaking news. Boom.